What a week has it been? And it's only Tuesday. So there has been a lot that has happened in the past week with Tesla and just in the EV space in general. So that's what we're going to be covering in this video here today. So let's start off with the Ford Lightning. Ford F-150 Lightning is Ford's first electric pickup truck. Electric pickup trucks are the thing this year. You got Rivian coming out with their starting delivery hopefully this year. Cybertruck hopefully starting deliveries this year. And then the F-150 Lightning hopefully starting delivery next year. Now the price of the F-150 is a bit misleading. They say it's only $39,000 or so, but in reality that is just for fleets and it's not actually meant for consumers. So for consumers the price is more on the order of $52,000 or somewhere around there. The fleet vehicle has the smallest battery, it has 230 miles of range and basically nothing else in it. Everything is taken down. Some people even said it has like manual windows and everything like that. So yeah, I don't think many people would want that anyways. Now granted, Ford is actually coming out with their electric pickup and that really just changes the entire game. Ford literally sells the most pickups in the entire world, or at least in the US. I think they sell like 1 million units of the F-150. Now that they're coming out with an electric version, that is quite substantial. That means that whatever Tesla's mission is to accelerate the transition of sustainable energy, that is actually happening and it's happening pretty quickly. So the range would be about 230 miles for the starting variant, which would be about $52,000. Then you can get the upgraded battery pack. Apparently that would cost about $7,500 for that, so that brings you up to about $60,000 just to get about 300 miles of range. But now luckily this is a crew cab and Ford does have the full $7,500 tax credit rebate. They already got 50,000 pre-orders supposedly, and the suspected battery pack for these are about 115 kilowatt hours for the standard range version, and then it's about 150 kilowatt hours plus for the long range 300 mile range variant. Okay, now moving on to Tesla back again, because almost all the next stories are about Tesla. So what's been going on with Tesla so far? Well, they're having a plaid event, a delivery event, which they almost never do. The last one they did was for the Model 3, and probably because that was a special vehicle. But now they're probably going to showcase the 3-motor drivetrain with the new batteries. Now the batteries supposedly are just the 18650 cells with updated chemistry, but who knows, they could just surprise us and come out with 4680s in their plaid models. This is just speculation right now, but most likely they're just going to be using standard 1865 cells, and that's probably just going to be what's in the cars. Now in my last video, if you've watched that, I actually talked about the charging speed, and the charging speed of these models should be quicker, apparently about 350 kilowatts. I'll just play this clip here right now for the Q3 2020 earnings call where Jerome Julian, I think that's how you pronounce his name, I probably botched that anyways, but he talks about the charging speed of the semi-truck. But just here, have a listen.
Yeah, we continue the development of the semi, and in particular mega chargers. We realized that the 350 kilowatt or so that we might be looking for cars is not going to be enough for semi, so we're looking for something much more powerful than that.
So about 350 kilowatts is the target that Tesla wants to get to for their vehicles, their actual consumer vehicles. Real quick, if you're enjoying this video, drop a like down below, and if you want to see more, just subscribe, as I'll be doing more of these in the future. So version 11 is still probably being worked on. That was supposed to be the holiday update, the massive holiday update that we were supposed to be getting. A lot of Tesla owners were actually supposed to be getting that during holiday season. Now it's about 6 months delayed, but likely it's going to come with the newer Model S and X vehicles because of all the new features that they're going to add. So here are leaked images of the Model S and X, and this is showing the UI and just various things about it, and I think it looks a bit weird, but it's kind of a good change that we're getting this now. And maybe, just maybe, this is just conjecture here, maybe they'll finally think about adding an app store, because when you have an app store you can just add applications like say Steam if you wanted to, download the games directly from that into your car, play Cyberpunk while charging. Literally, that's going to be one of the best things to do. Plus the new Model S and X actually have a computer that is actually just as powerful as the new PS5, and the display is only 1080p or just a bit above 1080p, not 4K, so that means you should probably get 60 FPS on almost any game from now and maybe even a few years into the future with 1080p. Now talking about the FSD Beta, version 9 has been delayed quite a lot. This is the FSD rewrite that was supposed to happen, a complete rewrite of the entire neural net, and basically they're going into proper 4D, which is basically 3 spatial, 1 time dimension, and basically what that's supposed to be doing is just make the car more human-like. And that's actually a good thing, because what you actually want is the car's behavior to be extremely predictable for the driver itself who's going to be monitoring the vehicle and for other drivers on the road. If that is predictable, it just makes for a safer scenario. If you know you're not going to be doing something like jerky or anything, that just means the car will be inherently just safer, just like that. So the guys at Now You Know actually did a podcast with George Hotz, the developer or the lead at Comma AI, and they're developing their own self-driving system for other vehicles. Basically, they want to be the Android of Tesla. And he said,
people think of the driving problem as like this rigid problem, right? Like they're operating like a plow in a field or a miner or a Starship Docker, right? Like those things are maybe appropriate to use LiDAR because they're very like physics-based problems. Driving is not a physics-based problem. Driving is a psychology problem. The hard part in driving is not staying in the middle of the lane. The hard part in driving is being like, look at that guy, what's he going to do? Actually, there's a flip side of that too. It's not just look at that guy, what's he going to do? It's driving your car in such a way that the guy behind you understands what you're going to do. It's not just important to predict, but it's also important to be predictable. And that's why the only acceptable policy for driving is the human policy. Machine-based policies are dangerous. You have to drive like a human if you want to interoperate on human roads.
And that's why you have to develop a neural net that thinks like a human, and that way it can actually drive just like a human. And this is something that no one has been able to do yet. Waymo has been trying to get their self-driving working forever, it feels like. It's been over 10 years and they're still only just in a small section in Arizona. Like a small section in a city in Arizona, so it just doesn't compare at all. There also have been updates on the new Model Y. Now we don't know what the new Model Y will actually be called because I think they have to call it something else based on some regulations here and there. And the new Model Y I'm talking about is the one that's going to be coming out of Giga Berlin and Giga Texas. And the reason for that is because the one in Giga Texas is going to be different from the one in Fremont. It's going to have new cells. Who knows, maybe it might have new motors or something like that. Just a newer structure body pack. It will have less weight, of more than 10% weight reduction, 15% range increase, something like that. So this is going to be an incredible car. If you just have a 15 or 16% range increase like they said on battery day, that'll get you to about 380 miles of range using the same battery pack as you have right now on the Model Y. That'll make the Model 3 go above 400 miles for the same battery pack. So this is a pretty big deal that they're doing this. And that could mean that they could have like a long range plus model, which would be maybe priced closer to the performance Model Y right now. And that would just give you maybe 400 miles of range and it'll just have like the same 0 to 60 times and everything else. But the car fundamentally is different and it has to be different and classified differently if they want to sell it as a different car. Otherwise, people will just get two different cars. They order one long-range Model Y for the same price, but one is made in Texas, one is made in Fremont, and it just doesn't work. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know what the laws are, and I don't know what Tesla will be doing, but I hope they do something like this, like a long-range plus or long-range max, something like that, I think. So yeah, there's a lot happening right now, and there's just a lot more to come, and I just can't wait for the event for the Plaid deliveries. It's going to be spectacular. So I have some predictions, but I don't want my expectations to be a bit too high, then to miss it, and then I'm sad after that. It's like, well, it's the best product in the world, but it didn't reach my expectations, which were absurdly high. So it kind of doesn't make any sense, does it really? So keep your expectations low. Maybe we don't know if we're going to hear anything about charging speed or FSD. Maybe they're just going to talk about version 11 and just the Plaid model itself. Because I really want to see how the hell do they actually have active noise cancellation on a car. I don't think anyone else has done that. Now I know that Mercedes did that, I think, with the airbags. So if the airbags deploy, the Mercedes like sends out a sound canceling out the airbag sound, but it hasn't really been done properly where you're driving down the road and it just cancels those audio out. And also the drive selector, I want to see that, and the yoke. There's some really cool updates with this Plaid event that I really want to see, and I think they could just take up the entire time just talking about the car itself and version 11. They don't even have to mention FSD and what's happening with that. So thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.